Wow, I'm almost speechless, but I can't be speechless because now we have to talk. We are live here. Oregon getting an interception. Dillon Thieneman from Purdue, the transfer, gets the game-sealing interception in double overtime. A game of momentum back and forth. We got a lot to talk about. I want to talk to you. I want to hear from you. Live comments are active. Plus, we got an entire Big Ten day to talk about as we go live here on a Saturday night, Sunday morning. Locked on Big Ten Live starts now.
You are Locked on Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked on Big Ten Live. I'm Craig Sheeman, 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer. I want to thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Hey, while you're here, hit that free subscribe button down below. That way you'll never miss a single episode. We are here every day. And if you could share, follow, and like, that would be great too. Plus, you can hype YouTube videos as well. This episode is brought to you by Mazda. Just like there's more to every player, more dedication, more attention to detail, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Stay tuned later in this episode for the highlights of this week's Moving the Game Forward, Mazda Move and Be Moved. So obviously we're talking about this whiteout with the Ducks and the Nittany Lions. Ohio State was on the road. Indiana had a scare. USC and Illinois was awesome. We'll cover every team, every game right here, plus your comments and your first look ahead to week 6. All that coming up. But first, let's get right into it. Let's break it down. Oregon and Penn State. This was the highest ranked whiteout ever. Oregon comes in at number 6, Penn State at number 3. Absolutely phenomenal. Oregon started off early. They moved early, had a 4th and 1 near midfield, ended up punting the ball. And then both sides kind of feeling each other out early on in this game. It was clear that Oregon was trying to establish the run. And for most of the game, they succeeded. I thought Oregon really punched Penn State in the mouth on both sides of the ball at the line of scrimmage. But the offensive line was moving Penn State. Penn State, when they were on offense, they really had horrible rushing numbers for about 3.5 quarters in this game. So, but that all changed midway through the 4th quarter when it seemed like Penn State woke up on this thing. We were actually scoreless as we went from the first quarter to the second quarter with Penn State with the ball. Drew Allar had a scramble, found Nick Singleton for 13 yards, but a 4th and 4, they had to settle for a field goal. Ryan Barker kicks it in from 49 yards, and Penn State takes a 3-0 lead already in the second quarter here at this point. Oregon gets the ball back, had a 9-play drive, but it stalled. Atticus Sappington missed a 47-yard field goal out about 9.5 minutes to go in the second. So Penn State gets the ball back there, but they go 3 and out. So, okay, Oregon's all right. Missed the field goal. Let's get right back into this thing. They had a 4th and 1 at midfield, and freshman wide receiver Decorian Moore made a nice catch for 20 yards on the play, but it was wasted. Another drive that stalled, 10 plays, 51 yards. But they got to settle for a field goal here. This time, Atticus Sappington makes the field goal. So with 3:42 to go in the half, we're tied at 3. This big showdown that we've been waiting for since this schedules came out, 3-3 at this point. Penn State gets the ball back. Drew Allar finds Devontae Ross under some pressure. I think Drew Allar slipped a little bit. Still found it was an amazing throw for 14 yards. To the Oregon 46 for a first down, but then they had a false start. And then 3 incomplete passes from this point. The clock is winding down, and they got to punt the ball. Oregon does a fair catch. They do a completion to Decorian Moore for 13 yards. Isaiah World gets called for a holding, so they're back to 27. Incomplete pass. We wind down the half, all tied at 3. At this point, Penn State, Drew Allar was not good. He was not good. We'll talk about the 4th quarter and when he woke up and when he was good. But at this point at the half, Drew Allar, 45 yards passing. Penn State had 24 yards rushing. That's it. Oregon controlled this game if you want to look at stats and line of scrimmage, but it's tied at 3. So we go to the half. Penn State comes out. They start moving the ball a little bit with a 9-play drive. Allar made a nice couple of plays, but then they had to punt the ball. So Dante Moore on Oregon's first drive of the second half, he rolls out right under pressure, finds Kenyon Sadiq for 23 yards over the middle to the 50-yard line. I thought for a minute, Dennis Sutton of Penn State was hurt. I think he was just getting a breather there. He seemed fine. Derriere Hill, 23-yard run, then a 6-yard run. And at this point, I mean, Oregon, I mentioned how they were dominating the line of scrimmage, but it looked like we have teetered over to the other side where they were just beating up on Penn State so much that they were going to be able to do whatever they wanted. And they got it into the red zone for the first time. And on third down, there's a quick throw to Sadiq for a first down, first and goal from the 9. The 9th play of the drive. This was amazing. So Noah Whittington makes a spin move, goes down. It looks like he fumbles the ball. So we got a 3-3 game. Oregon's wanting to score a touchdown. They fumble the ball in the red zone. It's recovered by Penn State and returned, I don't know, where midfield or somewhere around there. We go to commercial break. I didn't even know it was under review. They come back and they say, all right, we were reviewing this thing. And they got just a micro piece of film where Whittington's knee was on the ground before he lost the ball. So Oregon keeps the ball. They dodge one there, and then they score on the on Derriere Hill on the little catch from Dante Moore, an 8-yarder, and 10-play, 80-yard drive stays alive because they got a break. It was the right call. Don't get me wrong. So with 3 minutes to go in the third quarter, Oregon is up now for the first time, 10-3. Just a huge pivotal point of this game at the end of the third quarter. At this point, I'm thinking to myself, Penn State absolutely cannot run the ball. They can't run the ball at all. And that's the bread and butter. They got 2 of the best running backs in the Big Ten, and Allen and then Singleton. They go 3 and out. There's an incomplete pass. There are boos raining down. I thought I heard boos at the half, believe it or not. But I know here late in the third, I heard boos from the whiteout crowd at Penn State. Can you imagine? So then Oregon gets the ball. There, Hill, 11 yards. Hill gets it again, 9 more yards. At this point of the game, this is the end of the third quarter. We're going to the fourth quarter. Oregon has 299 yards of offense. Penn State has 109. That's it. That was the difference I've been telling you about. That was like 3-1 as far as yardage goes at this point, but still a close game. Still close. It's 10-3. We're going into the fourth as Oregon is really dominating at the line. DeCorian Moore got behind the defense when his quarterback was scrambling, and they connected for 29 yards for first down at the Penn State 17-yard line. 3rd and 10. Moore scrambling again. For 9 yards, but didn't get the first down. It was 4th and 1 at the 8-yard line. So Dan Lanning calls a timeout at this point. And what do? They come up with a play out of a timeout in the biggest game, and they give the ball to freshman running back Jordan Davison. I think it was his 4th carry of the night. Goes right in for an 8-yard touchdown. Just a great job by the offensive line. It is all Oregon Duck at this time. 2:25 to go in the fourth quarter. They're up by 2 scores, 17-3, just a monster 10-play, 75-yard drive. I mean, I'll be honest, this looked like lights out for Penn State. I'm thinking in my head, I'm doing podcasts for Locked On Big Ten next week. They're going to be James Franklin can't win the big one, right? That's how this was going to go. But all of a sudden, right there, while I'm thinking that stuff, Penn State comes to life. There was the Kenyon Allen 19-yard run to the 47-yard line. 2 plays later, Devontae Ross, 35-yard touchdown. Drew Allar threw a perfect pass. It was his first, good, perfect pass of the night. Had max protection, had time, dropped it in there. Ross scores on the 35-yard touchdown. Allar was 3 for 3 on that drive. It was like, where has this been all night if you're a Penn State fan? So a quick 4-play, 75-yard drive took 1:55, and just like that, Penn State's back in the game. I mean, that crowd was dead. They were booing. They were quiet. That wasn't your typical whiteout crowd, and Oregon's up by 14, and that touchdown right there got everybody right back into the game. So Oregon gets the ball now. They still got a 7-point lead. They get that unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. Now it's a 3rd and 21 on their own 25. Then they punt the ball, and they shank it. I mean, it was a 35-yard punt to the Penn State 33, and now Penn State gets the ball, chance to tie the game on their own 33-yard line. Drew Allar runs for 20 yards to the Oregon 41. Then there was a 4th and 1 from the Oregon 32. Nick Singleton was stopped, made a second effort, got a little push, boom, first down. Then next play, the center was on a false start. The center was the only one that didn't move. Everybody else moved. So there's a timeout. Now, Penn State, James Franklin calls a timeout with 2:40 to go. And I'm thinking, I know it's 4th and 1, biggest play of the day. But if you don't get it, Oregon gets the ball, and you can't stop the clock at any point enough to run out the clock. I didn't know if they should have used that timeout right there because you got the 2-minute timeout as well. But they used it, made sure everything was right. 4th and 1 from the 21. Drew Allar with the keeper from the shotgun gets the first down to the 19-yard line. Then the pass to Katron Allen for 7 yards. That was the play where, it was like for 4 yards, but he kept the pile going for 3 more yards, chewed up a lot of clock. With a 2-minute timeout was at 1:47 because the clock kept going. They couldn't get him down to the 12-yard line. So everybody's all excited at Penn State now. Come out of the timeout. 2nd and 3. Katron Allen gets 2 yards. Now we're under a minute. 3rd and inches, Katron Allen, first down, 1st and goal. And then Devontae Ross on a beautifully designed play. A lot crossed up in the backfield. And then he comes end around and he scores a touchdown. Capped off a 15-play, 62-yard drive that took 6.5 minutes with 30 seconds to go. Penn State ties the game at 17. That was a beautiful drive. Andy Kotelnicki with the play calling. And I love that play that Devontae Ross scored on. That showed some creativity. All right, so keep in mind, the 4th quarter, we're going to overtime now. And Devontae Ross scores 2 touchdowns. They're down 2 touchdowns. He scores 2 touchdowns. We're tied. Devontae Ross is looking like a hero. So we go to overtime. Oregon wins the toss, decides to go on defense. Got to know what they need to do, right? So Penn State, Katron Allen, 4-yard touchdown. Penn State takes the lead, gets the extra points, 24-17. Then Oregon with the ball on their drive, they fumble one on a handoff. They got lucky. It could have ended there. Then 4th on 1 with the game on the line from the 5. Oregon calls a timeout. There was a review for targeting, by the way. Apparently, the defender hit with the hairline, not the crown, so everything's fine. Dante Moore then gets the first down, 1st and goal on a quarterback draw to the 3, and then Jamari Johnson, the 2-yard with the shuttle pass, which that was a mess. He bobbled the snap. The guard gets pushed backward. Had they dropped it, it would have been an incomplete pass, not a fumble. But he keeps it. He gets into the end zone and ties the game at 24. So now we go to double overtime. And now you have to go for 2 if you score a touchdown. Oregon gets the ball first. Dante Moore on that first play was under pressure. Boom. Gary Bryant Jr., 25-yard touchdown. Now Oregon's taking the lead. All right, they're 30-24. Got to go for 2. They go for 2. They throw an interception. It gets run to about midfield or so. So now Penn State gets the ball. And if they score the touchdown and get the conversion, they win because Oregon did not get the 2-point conversion. Drew Allar rolls out, throws right side. Dillon Thieneman from Purdue, the transfer, jumped way up and grabbed the play. If you are an everydayer here at Locked On Big Ten, you know that we spent the entire spring and summer talking about how that Dillon Thieneman was the best transfer portal pickup guy of any Big Ten school team. We're on the record. We have receipts. Paid off of the biggest game of the year right there. That was phenomenal. Your thoughts. I'm going to hit all your comments. Got hundreds of them dialing in here. We'll take care of that. We'll take care of the rest of the Big Ten games where the USC-Illinois game was a thriller. Indiana barely got by at Iowa. We'll talk about it all because that's what we do here on our special live edition. By the way, if you're new to us, hit that free subscribe button down below. That way you'll be with us every day. We do this every day. We're live here on Saturday night, but we're here for you every day, every Big Ten team. And in addition to subscribing, you can share, follow, like, let other people know that we're out here. Don't forget, we have a website, talkbig10.com. That's the number 10. All of our podcasts go there if you want to check out any ones you missed. Plus, we have links there for your favorite Big Ten schools. If you want to do a little shopping, some shirts, pennants, hats. You're an Oregon Duck fan. You want to get some Christmas swag? Go get it right now. TalkBig10.com. All right, we'll talk about those other games. Can't wait to jump in there. Can't wait to see what you guys have to say with your live comments. All that's coming up here in 1 minute on a live edition of Locked On Big Ten. This is Mazda's Moving the Game Forward, brought to you by those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it, because those moments, they do more than win. They push what's possible. They remind us to go the extra yard, shift into the extra gear, keep moving the game forward, or ending it, just like Dillon Thieneman just did for the Oregon Ducks against Penn State. Phenomenal performance and attention to detail. Follow what moves you. The unexpected is only the beginning here. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. All right, thanks for checking us out here on a live edition of Locked On Big Ten on a Saturday night going into a Sunday morning. Again, the double overtime thriller. Oregon wins over Penn State in the whiteout, sending the crowd home quiet. Poor James Franklin can't win the big one, even though, I'm almost speechless about that whole thing. All right, we're going to get to your comments here in just a second. But first, let's take a quick look at what happened around the Big Ten earlier today. USC at Illinois, number 21 versus number 23. Unbelievable game. Unbelievable. Illinois wins. Remember, Illinois had the beat down last week at Bloomington. Got beat 63-10. They had a pretty comfortable lead in this game, blew the lead. USC came back to take the lead, and then Illinois ends up hitting a game-winning field goal at the horn on this one. We'll have plenty more reaction on this game on our Monday podcast on Locked On Big Ten. But Illinois had to march 51 yards to get that winning field goal in that game. And just an incredible day for everybody. And a thrilling win and a much-needed win for Brett Bielema and the Fighting Illini. So we'll get into all that in just on Monday's podcast. By the way, I'm going to mention here that Hank Beatty for Illinois did it again. This guy's amazing. So Luke Altmaier on the day, 20 for 26, 328 yards, a couple touchdowns, ran for another. Also caught a touchdown thrown by Hank Beatty. Hank Beatty has now thrown a touchdown. He has receiving touchdowns. He's run for a touchdown, and he's had a punt return for a touchdown. Guy's an absolute machine. We love talking about him. All right. Also earlier today, Rutgers and Minnesota. Minnesota was a 4.5-point favorite. I didn't like that number on Friday. If you saw our pigskin picks on Friday, I told you this is going to be a 3-point game either way. Minnesota won by 3, 31-28 over Rutgers. So they didn't cover like we were talking about on Friday. Either way, Drake Lindsey threw for 324 yards and 3 touchdowns. The Gophers trailed in this game 14-0, and they struggle for 35 yards on the ground. And usually they're bread and butter, but Darius Taylor has been out with a hammy. AJ Turner out for the year, so it's down 2 running backs in that one. Ethan Kaliak-Manis, the former Minnesota quarterback, now for Rutgers, threw for 249 and 2 touchdowns. But Rutgers gave up 7 sacks in this game, missed 2 field goals, including 1 at the horn, and had the game's only turnover. Meanwhile, Ohio State, the number 1 team in the country, they go out west to Washington. I thought this might be an upset special. I did. And in fact, with just over a minute to go in the half, it was Washington 3, Ohio State nothing. That's what we had there. But Julian Sain did found Jeremiah Smith for an 18-yard touchdown pass with 1:08 to go in the half. Ohio State was up 7-3. They never looked back. Scored a couple more times and ended up winning 24-6. We'll have more of that on Monday's Locked On Big Ten podcast as well. Ohio State also had 6 sacks in that game. And Caden Curry, 3 sacks with 5 tackles for a loss. Can you believe that? Meanwhile, Indiana's flying high. They're outscoring everybody. They're racking up yardage. They go into Iowa, and guess what? They got Iowa'd. Yeah, that's the term I just made up, because Iowa likes to keep these games low scoring, tight, and grinding it. So the Hoosiers scored 63 points against Illinois last week. They got out of there with 20, and they win 20-15 against Iowa, and this game was either tied or Iowa had the lead for the majority of it. Iowa played well enough to win this game. IU's Fernando Mendoza ended up finding Elijah Surratt on a 49-yard touchdown catch and run with 1:28 to go to break open a 13-13 tie. Surratt had 6 catches for 132 yards. Look, IU came into this game ranked number 2 in the country in total offense. They only had 337 yards in this game. And it was just a great job by Iowa all day long. Iowa also missed a field goal late that would have broke the 13-13 tie. But anyway, the Hoosiers get the win. They remain undefeated. They got Oregon next, by the way. Yes, they do. Mark Gronowski hurt his knee in that game, tried to come back. Well, he wanted to come back in. They put a brace on it, warmed up on the bike, and they said, no, let's hold you out, and they're going to do some tests. And then finally, before we get to your comments, UCLA, they've had troubles. They got a new coach. Deshaun Foster's fired. Tim Skipper's debuting as the interim. They go into Northwestern and play in that makeshift stadium over there. Northwestern beat them 17-14. Caleb Komalapi, 27 carries, 119 yards, and a touchdown. Remember, Cam Porter's out for the season. Preston Stone threw for 115 yards in this game. Griffin Wild had 7 catches, 98 yards, and a touchdown. Northwestern had a 17-0 lead in this game. Hung on to win 17-14. UCLA has not led at any time this season. All right. We're all caught up. Now it's your turn. We're going to get to all your comments. This is the most I've ever had. We've been doing this this is our 3rd football season. This is incredible. Let's take a peek here and see what's on your mind. Oregon Ducks. You Oregon Ducks fans always comment on my live show, even when we're not following an Oregon game. I'm going to have to just jump in here. Oregon showing resilience from Marty checking in. Gone Fish, it says, I love our defense. I love Dante Moore. So many questions, got great answers. Here is Dante is a stud. Absolutely. Here's James with his own power rankings, or maybe even national, I guess, the power rankings for our Wednesday show. By the way, we do power rankings. Oregon number 1, Ohio State number 2, Indiana number 3. I will take that under advisement for Wednesday's show. I actually like that. Let's see. That's what you call elite teams going at it. It looked like a championship game. That from Richard. War Hobby says Oregon was in control for all about 2/3 of a quarter. I will agree with that. I will absolutely agree with that. Let's see here. Neutral field. Can't see Penn State even staying in that game. That's from Chris. You're alluding to maybe another Big Ten championship rematch, perhaps. Maybe that. Although you have to admit that home field advantage for Penn State, it didn't seem to affect Oregon. Like I told you in our preview this week, when we previewed the game in the middle of the week, I said, look, Oregon's used to big games. And even though Autzen Stadium holds half the amount of people that Beaver Stadium has, it's just as loud from everything I've ever heard anybody ever say about that. Steve, that was a helmet-to-helmet foul. I thought so too. I guess we're wrong. I guess there's a difference between hitting with the hairline and a crown. I thought the same thing. Let's see. I don't see too many Penn State fans on here. A lot of Oregon stuff. Although James says, yeah, death, taxes, and James Franklin blowing a big game. Here's another one from Jesse that says Franklin is bad. Allar is horrendous. Drew Allar was not good for most of that game. That is true. Bob checking in with what a game. Deuce says, love my Ducks. It was fun seeing college football all around this weekend. Lots of great games. Went wire to wire. That's from Jason checking in. Mr. Nice Guy says, Ducks, baby. Go Ducks. Great day of Big Ten games from Andrew checking in. Absolutely it was. Tiff says, sleepy first half. Then Penn State finally woke up. That is accurate. That is absolutely accurate. Narnia Peacock NBC was so busy running their commercials. They were missing live play. They came back super late, wasn't it? Was it the fourth quarter and overtime play? I thought the same thing. I agree with you. Great point by James. Oregon still has not lost a Big Ten game. He says this league is easy. They were undefeated last year. They haven't won. You're right. Donnie, great job. Craig, best day in college football so far. Thank you for the compliment. And yeah, it was a great day all the way around. Robert says, go Ducks. Logan says we stuffed Penn State in a locker. Let's see. Oh, Jason making a prediction. Illinois is going to get a trap game by Purdue next week. They beat USC today. They got Ohio State in a couple of weeks. That is a trap game. And you may not remember, maybe you remember, Purdue took Illinois to overtime last year. That was a 50-49 game for a Purdue team that won, one game last year. Yeah, maybe that will be. Maybe that will be a game they'll have to check out. All right, let's do a couple more. I'm sorry, I possibly can't get to all of them, but you guys are great. Thank you so much. Corn Pop says, let's go. He's got an Oregon Duck emoji on there. TTV says, go Ducks. Dante looked cool under pressure from Tanya. Absolutely. Here's one from Penn State now. Penn State Jim. You can't just start playing offense in the fourth quarter. There are 3 quarters. Yeah, that's right. That's right. They look like they were sleepwalking they could not get their offense. And I'll credit Oregon's defense to that. They were prepared and ready to go. Eric says that game had me stressing. Me too. That was crazy. You guys are great. Thank you for all your comments. I always appreciate it, for sure. And there's literally, I think we're up to like 400 comments. I can't get to them all. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. We are going to take our first look ahead at week 6. You guys need to help me decide what game we're going to go live after next Saturday. I'm a little undecided on that as we speak. So we'll take our first look at week 6 in just a minute. Maybe you can help me out with some suggestions there. All that is coming up here in just 1 minute on Locked On Big Ten Live. Let's tell you about DoorDash. You keep your streak going with DoorDash? That's right. DoorDash. Got to tell you about these streaks here. And, it's time to look back and crown this week's MVP on who delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash streaks, saving more every time you order. These players delivered when it mattered most. So let's break it down. I'm telling you, Dillon Thieneman for Oregon with that game-sealing interception. He delivered when that team needed it the most. When the pressure, you talk about the pressure was on. The pressure was on, and he delivered. And just like Dillon did it for the Oregon Ducks, DoorDash delivers on your Saturdays with DoorDash streaks. You save every Saturday that you order. So stack up your Saturdays. Make an order every Saturday. Save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order every Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day. Only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period good through November 18th. And you need a shot of energy? I mean, I got some energy and adrenaline going right now, but I'm going to come down. Going to need a shot of some energy with 5-Hour Energy. That's right. Caffeine just got a flavor upgrade. 5-Hour Energy shots deliver tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 2-ounce shot packs the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee plus B vitamins and nutrients with 0 sugar and 0 crashes. Love the little convenience of the little bottles, all the flavors you can imagine. I like it when I need a little shot of energy when I'm driving late at night. So enough with the boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5-Hour Energy shots. Get the favorites that you love, or be bold to try something new in store and online at www.5hourenergy.com. That's with the number 5, 5hourenergy.com, or on Amazon today. All right, it's time to take our first look ahead at the upcoming week 6. So I want to go ahead and talk this over with you. I need your suggestions of which game you want me to go live at. I have an idea what I'm going to do, but I'll take a look at the schedule here and we'll figure this out together. So coming up this weekend, Wisconsin is at number 19 Michigan. Now that's a noon game on Fox. I could go live after that one. I like to go live later to get some more games going on, but we usually do pretty well going after a Michigan game like that. So that's a possibility. And then also at noon on the Big Ten Network, number 23 Illinois at Purdue. We just talked about that game a moment ago. That's at noon. And then we got our 3:30 games. Penn State, they're going to be at UCLA in the Rose Bowl. So it's 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific. Could go live after that one. There's also Washington at Maryland. They got to fly across the country, 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific on the Big Ten Network. And then Louisiana Monroe at Northwestern. That's a 3:30 on the Big Ten Network. Michigan State is at Nebraska, 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific on FS1. I'm thinking about going live after that and trying to be done before the finale of the night. Minnesota is at number 1 Ohio State. That's a 7:30. That's the Big Ten Saturday night on NBC. My fear is that game may get away from us early. And then who knows about audience retention and then waiting for us to come on at 11 o'clock. So I'm thinking I'll go after the Michigan State-Nebraska game or near the end of the game, probably around 7 o'clock. That's what I'm thinking. I'll check out your comments and see what you guys suggest. But that's our first look at week 6, an exciting matchup around the Big Ten. That'll do it for us. You guys were great. This is why I love doing this, because I get your immediate real-time reaction. You get my unfiltered reaction. I'm sitting here watching the game and then boom, going live. We go live every Saturday. And we're also here Monday through Friday, usually with multiple podcasts each day. So if you're a Big Ten fan, maybe you're just checking us out for the first time, or if you're a Big Ten fan, I know you know other Big Ten people. Let them know we're out here every day, growing with leaps and bounds with this podcast. We have a lot of fun with it. That'll do it. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. We'll be back. I'll be back on Monday with more on this game and all the others around the Big Ten as well. That'll do it. For Locked On Big Ten, I'm Craig Sheeman. Thanks for joining us live here, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.